Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. We are having some technical issues with the video camera, so let's pick up and zoom in and focus in where we left off, and that is how to get unstuck, unblocked, after you've been in a relationship with someone who is narcissistic, psychopathic, someone who has really become an issue. You're realizing that this is not your ordinary Joe, your ordinary Sally. There's something different really about this relationship. And once again, if you've looked at the previous two sections, to really kind of become unblocked and to liberate yourself and become unstuck, you need to understand a little bit about the person. You need to also understand a little bit about yourself, in my viewpoint, and the cause has created this effect and got you to this crossroads, this time out, this, blocked sort of junction where you feel stuck and hindered and you don't know really how to get yourself out of it. It's like, how do you get out of emotional quicksand? If you've ever seen quicksand or ever put your foot in it, eventually you begin to sink and you don't know how long it's going to go. And sometimes you can go and check these out, and that might have, like a wood board put in so you won't go any further. But, basically it's like a feeling of just being sucked into this, sand, quicksand, if you will. So, yeah, I mean, as a kid, you might think that's funny. Oh, but as an adult, emotional quicksand it becomes more and more difficult to get out of. You feel less agile. You feel less buoyant. You feel less equipped to sort of get yourself out of that crossroads, out of that junction, out of that yay or nay. And once again, it's because it's oftentimes there's no logical explanation or that you have previously encountered in your life that makes sense, and then how to protect yourself from this moving forward. But oftentimes there's so much damage that's done, it's difficult for you to put two and two enough together, let alone one and one, to arrive at a solution or an answer to get you the results. And so if you haven't, checked out those previous two videos, please do. But I want you to understand that to get unblocked and to get unstuck is to remove some of the negative self-limiting beliefs that you have housed about yourself, or about yourself as you relate to others or relate to others of the opposite sex, or how you think that is fun for you, how you deduce, as well as your own rights as an individual. So you need to open up some choices, options, and get to a degree of self-efficacy and confidence in doing yourself solid moving forward to get unstuck. So let's really sort of zoom in and focus in on some actual things you can do and process and sort of liberate and free yourself up out of this situation where it's got you hook, line, and sinker, or feeling like you're in the emotional clink, the emotional clinker. What is that another word for? I think that's, in the clink, really sort of behind bars, if you will, emotionally, where people literally feel stuck and they feel imprisoned, and it can be very terrifying. So I'm not making light of this, but I want you to understand some of the causes that create this effect and the why, because once you understand that, you can go, okay, I get it now. So once again, there's this illogical sense of why this is occurring. There's this feeling of not being able to compute. You've done X, Y, and Z, and you have A, B, and C, so why should this be happening? So people typically keep doing this, keep in relation to this person, thinking that they are worth it, that they are right, that they know what's best, that because of them, they're going to this and this place in their life, and they give this person this pedestal, idealism, and then also then the moving forward, that if they were to stop this, that they would not be able to find anyone like this ever again, or life would not be as interesting, life would not be really, the problem is as drama, as drama laden, if you will. And people get addicted to this drama. They get addicted to the confusion. They get addicted to the uncertainty. They get addicted to the being broken down. They get addicted to the hiding, because oftentimes people need to hide this relationship. They need to not talk about it or process it either within themselves or with other people, because it might make them sound, moronic, immature. What's wrong with you? And then they just don't get it. So they don't oftentimes understand the intricacies that are really involved with this. It's not just like, oh, it's a fling, let it go. Oh, it's just just get over it. It's just, don't take it so seriously. They didn't mean it that way. You're too sensitive. So a lot of other people, they don't really help if you share it with them. So there's oftentimes this feeling then of hiding the relationship or hiding how you feel about it, which makes it very difficult to process. So there again, you get into the analysis paralysis. You get into the stuck. You stay at the crossroads, and you stay at the cognitive dissonance, meaning, something is wrong, but you're acting as if it's not. You're being sort of false to yourself. You're sort of having to not process things, and you're in a half process state, and it will continue. So there's going to be this chronic exposure to this person if you choose to keep them in your life. And I say exposure because they are a hazard, they are a peril, they are a risk, they are damaging influences, they are hurtful, they are confusing, they are presenting a conundrum, they do present a puzzle, which oftentimes people then get caught up in the intellectual pursuit of trying to figure it out. And then if they can just explain this one little element to the narcissist or the psychopath, then they'll be like, oh, okay, and then everything will be quote unquote as normal or as wanted or dreamed or desired, and you can have your cake and eat it too, or we're all going to kiss and make up. Eventually, you think that this person will give up. The bottom line is they are relentless. The bottom line is that it gets worse with time. The bottom line is that no matter what you do to explain or justify, it's going to keep going on. And so if you've been with this relationship for years and decades, or you have kids with this person, or you're sort of in a hiding out manner, and it's sort of in this half-baked state, half processed but not processed, you're going to feel stuck, blocked, and you're hiding this basically from yourself, but yet you're the one who's holding the key. So it's very confusing. It becomes, and you should not feel shamed, embarrassed, immature, what's wrong with me? It's because these relationships are not typical. They're not usual. And will everyone encounter a narcissist or a psychopath in a lifetime? Well, we don't know. But when you do, you'll oftentimes find yourself in hot water and feeling stuck. So meaning that you're taking it personally. You're too afraid to confront the situation, and then there's this feeling of wanting to complete yourself and fulfill the fact that you were rescuing them or helping them or love them or invested in them or whatever it is that's keeping you connected. They could be in your family, they can be in your workplace, your community, wherever it is. People will eventually, if they don't pry themselves away and go no contact and arrive at that, or be able to get some distance and keep your distance and keep that gap between you and them. It's that fear of letting go and what's going to happen to me, but more so it's how am I going to process what I've been through alone. So there's this feeling then, well, I need to work it out with them for this closure, yet they're the source of the problem. So you need to detach from the source of this problem. And you need to come away with some sort of dignity and your head up to say, I am whole and complete. Even though you might not feel that, you must know that. So and that, really that this encounter along the path you're in the right place. Basically, this experience was meant to happen. It did happen. It's okay. Don't worry about it. No matter how long you've been in this relationship, stop, counting this relationship as against yourself. You are in the right place, believe it or not. In that it's so important to take stock of the lessons learned and to get perspective and distance away. In other words, I'm going to be away. I'm going away. I'm disconnecting. I'm detaching. You might not want to say that to them because then you're going to open up a whole nother can of worms perhaps. But your actions need to be able to speak louder than some words. But the actions is the self-respect. You need to be able to exit with your self-respect intact and complete. You need to be able to swallow and accept that no matter what you've been through with them. You need to know and then give yourself a quick route to the other side, even if it feels very meek, weak, difficult, empty, scary, boring, not worth it. Going without them, you feel a sense of withdrawal, unhappiness, I don't know what to do. This is all describing feeling stuck or blocked, which is ultimately the foundation of a negative self-limiting belief, which means I don't deserve better. I will never be happy again. This person is responsible for my happiness, my growth. This person is responsible for, my connection to whatever. This whatever you're saying, this power this person has is the power that you've assigned them. You personally have given up your power to them, which to me, that's your most important aspect that you must take back. Taking back your power, taking back your wholeness, taking back your self-respect, which oftentimes you have not seen in a while, felt in a while, experienced in a while. That's why it feels so foreign, and you're afraid because you've deprived yourself of that. It's like being on a diet and then saying, should I really eat that donut? I mean, there's a big, you've hammered the reasoning into yourself so hard for so long. It's like you've gone on an emotional diet from self-respect. You're starving for self-respect, but you're too afraid to give it to yourself because you're afraid something is going to blow up or whatever it is that you're trying to label yourself as a loser or not attractive enough or guilty or in trouble. I'm in trouble now is really the feeling when you put your foot down and say no more to the narcissistic abuse or no more to being scapegoated, no more to being criticized, no more to feeling made less than. Until you can say, you have to say, I don't know how. I don't have to know the how right now. All I know is that I'm done. So if you can make that decision, you can then give the universe a chance to fill in the holes that are your gaping needs, that are truly functional. And you have to stay with that truth, even if you don't have enough justification, but after you've absorbed the being a tax, the subject of scapegoating, you need to disown that. I'm not owning victimhood anymore. I'm not owning being a loser. I'm not owning being too slow. I'm not owning being not talented. I'm not owning that anymore. But when you're with a narcissist or a psychopath, you have to own that, especially when you're in relationship with them, in order to keep the relationship going. I must be a stupid dum-dum if I'm still with you. Ha ha, isn't it funny? Oftentimes there's something that goes on where you had in the course of the relationship where you have accomplished something. Maybe you got a new job or you got a new house or a new car or a new pet or, something, out of the ordinary. And they just won't have any part of congratulating you. In fact, the day you got that new thing or, was the day that they cheated on you. Do you see how all of a sudden your accomplishments, blown out the window. It's all about trying to recover them, rescue them, help them. Your accomplishments, what you have, who you are, your own self-generated comfort and what you have in life is no longer significant. In fact, oftentimes that's the target, or that's the opportunity when they're going to go the other direction. And they're going to say, oh, you won this, or you did this. Well, over here, they're out getting into trouble, and then you have to drop everything to find out where they are. And, then here comes this text with a crazy picture, and then you're on the paranoia. And then you're trying to resolve the paranoia that you feel because it's so uncomfortable to stay in the paranoia. You can't get back to easy street, rainbows and puppy dogs and butterflies and unicorns that was part of the illusion with them, when these elements are truly meant for you in life. The unicorns, the puppies, and the rainbows are really truly meant for you. And you have to get to the point where you can have that and experience that and not involve or incorporate or include them or share with them. You have to say, everything that I gave in the relationship, that was actually meant for me. That's more a reflection of how willing I am to have a relationship work. And that should be a testimony to me of what I have. And so you need to kind of take that without their validation. Particularly when you've been scapegoated and made to feel silly, stupid, dumb, an imbecile, a numbskull, can't cut a carrot, you can't peel a potato, you can't drive a car, you can't do anything right. There's always usually going to be something where you're never going to get it again. That's, it becomes an epic drama. Let's admit it. And you need to get unstuck, though. Even if it seems like the wrong thing, right thing, the cognitive dissonance is what has to be plowed with. And you have to really go on a leap of faith and live by faith and not by sight, not what your texting hands want to do, not what your trigger foot wants to do by the trigger finger, putting in the car, keys in the ignition, going over there, trying to fight it out with them, not listen. Oftentimes, if you had not exposed yourself to this toxin, you would not be experiencing the being stuck. So do you see where it really is like a risk, a hazard, a toxin that you expose yourself to that gives you these effects? And so you have to understand it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the needs of this person, especially is how they react and process a relationship of this kind. So, romantic, sibling, colleague, boss, parent, neighbor. So there's always going to be something, and why is it me? Why, oftentimes you need to stop asking those questions. Stop asking those questions because you're going to keep getting the same answer. Why me? Because you were there. Why me? Because I was there. Give yourself an answer and just, begin to let it go. So it's not going to be a linear thing. You have to be able to process and digest this and get a balance on your own. And to deprive yourself of the drama and the negativity and the chaos. Even though it's not resolved, even though it's not fixed, even though it's not sorted out, I'm going to leave that pile of rubble. And I'm going to resensitize myself and re-own my self-respect. Come home to that and then make that home rather than, your self-respect incorporating this person and this problem into your whole self. So, getting unstuck is looking at those self-limiting beliefs and yanking them out from the root. Literally getting the weeds out of your garden. Literally, but you have to identify them as a weed, as such, even though they say that they're the most radiant flower or the most radiant, strongest whatever. Okay, that you, on the other hand, need to get that out because it's what's shadowing you from your own brilliance. It's what's dulling your own shine. It's what's causing you to become contracted. So, when you're contracted, this brings up a good point. You're the opposite of the, you're the opposite of that, you're the opposite of where you should be. So life is to expand and grow. And that pleasantness and that blissfulness and that harmony that comes with being functional within. So life really, you begin to grow. And meaning, enjoy happiness, improve your wisdom, improve your experiences so that you are more learned moving forward. And that others who you can be, who you can take with, but who will be there in your life to kind of celebrate and not detract you or not deter you or hinder you through the undercuts of the knees. Can you tell them to stop? Can you have that discussion? You might need to have an all blowout confrontation. I get that question a lot. Should I confront them? What is therapeutic for you? But you need to do the processing on your own. Should you confront them? Will that help you to process it on your own? Oftentimes, maybe not. Oftentimes not, because they're not going to ever concede to the challenge. They're not going to give in to the challenge and even apologize for what they've done. They're going to say, well, you're a this or you're a that. So it's oftentimes an exercise of futility to try to, park that in the relationship and think that you're just going to have a discussion, pull it all over and discuss and have it out with them. So you have to be able to resensitize yourself, meaning comfort yourself, get and keep the distance, and to kind of bring that fuel back within, even if it's just a small little flame, and to say, I've still got it. I still have, I still am desirable. I am all these things that you thought was only going to be experienced with this person. So you need to open that up and give that to yourself. Resensitizing yourself, which means going and filling the inner reservoir once again with people, events, experiences, stimulations, even if it's just focusing on one sense at a time, meaning only listening, closing your eyes and listening to positive music that is beautiful and inspiring to you, that you're not sharing with them, or being able to just take in images, being able to look at just images or pictures. Right now you can do a ton of that on wherever, on the internet. Being able to process and learn and educate yourself. Being able to comfort the the taste, the olfactory, being able to comfort your skin, being able to feel okay in your own skin, and stop being an object of whatever sort to this person that you have then felt in your life, and then following this and following up and enforcing it. In other words, being able to stop the judgment and to then bring up the trust and the faith, and to go by the heart of faith. Even if there's no seeing or believing, you need to enact faith, and then give yourself a week, a month, 6 months, a year to then say, I'm gonna just trust this for 1 month, and I'm gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna stay away. I'm gonna go no contact for 6 months and see how things adjust. 1 year. And see then, so you can prove to yourself, you have to be proof to yourself that you made the right choice and the right decision. But you have to also sometimes learn while you're in that, and use tools and use the privacy of these videos and ask yourself some different questions, so that you're not in the stage of the fawn state, where you're just sort of in disarray, or you're feeling like a deer in a headlight, where you're just sort of like mystified and you cannot act. Oftentimes this is experienced as post-traumatic stress syndrome, where things might just set you off. You might be going no contact, and then you go to a restaurant that's similar or sounds similar or feels similar or looks similar to where you used to go, and then you start getting this panic, or you do certain things that remind you, and then your heart starts racing. You need to remind yourself, I've got this. I've got this. I've got this. You need to then be the master of your senses and then the master of your subconscious. I've got this. My subconscious has got this. The divine within me has this. I trust. I trust and I know that the infinite intelligence within me is going to move me forward and is going to reveal itself to me. Success on my path will leave clues. So you need to open up. And so really that mystical healing can really, miraculous healing can arrive. And when I mean that there's something bigger than yourself that's been trying to get your attention and has been trying to speak to you through your feelings, your literal feelings, to try to say, hey, you need to grow over here. And grow you will in the ways that are pleasurable and bringing joy and bliss and fulfillment. And that might just being at peace. That might just having no contact and being serene and not being agitated, not having the drama. Sometimes the very first step might just be the absence. You don't even have to do anything. The only thing you have to do is go no contact to begin the healing. So getting through that, I don't have them on this Monday, this Friday, this Thursday, this Saturday, whatever it is that they're usually, or this holiday, where I'm just, unfortunately, there can't be a relationship. This cannot be. And even though 1 + 1 + 2, it shouldn't be this way, it just is. Some things just are. So you need to give yourself that sort of explanation. Even though you might want it and you're hiding it, you desire, there's nothing wrong with the desiring, but oftentimes desiring this is an exercise of futility. It's just, and to admit that, eventually you'll hit a rock bottom where you eventually say, I admit it now, I accept it, and I love my decision. So get to the point where you can love your decision, because then it's when you really love yourself and you go, wow, I really made an awesome decision, like one of the most difficult decisions it might be in your life, but made it, you did. And then you can own that so that then that you're decisive and that you get a feeling of your own personal power back. And then you're able to look at a bigger picture without this sort of blotchy cognitive dissonance or fog in the way. And where is that going to lead you? You can decide. So you can dig deeper and find out where you want that to be. Is it going to free up your energy? Are you going to travel? Are you going to paint? Are you going to be a writer? Are you going to be a mathematician? Are you going to be a web designer? Are you going to be a couch potato? Are you going to be a yogi? Are you going to be a handyman? Are you going to be a carpenter? Are you going to be a web designer, app designer? Are you going to make pottery? Are you going to travel like Anthony Bourdain and like travel the world for food? Are you going to visit coffee houses? What are you going to do? No decision is a decision, but decide. You must make a decision. And then little by little, the wheels will become greased and you'll be able to keep flowing again. And it won't be so hard. It won't be so much of a struggle. But you need to be able to give yourself the gift of that perspective of staying apart, keeping some distance, whatever that means for you. And being able to embrace it and embracing yourself, just like this. Putting your arms, remember in 8th grade when people used to joke about that, you literally do need to be like, I've got you. And you need to be able to hold and hug yourself like that. I've got you. That's the ultimate, result of inner child work when, maybe you were not given what you were needed as a child. You were not given as you needed as an infant, teenager. I've got you now. So now as a more mature person, that's, John Bradshaw, reparenting that inner child. I've got you. And then you can be the perfect parent to yourself, and being a great guide, and asking also for guidance in the form of meditation to help open up that inner voice is a great, and you can look at all sorts of guided meditation to your spirit guides here on YouTube. You can listen to Meditative Mind. You can listen to some just, really beautiful 432 hertz music, 482 hertz, just something that's very calming, either just sitting with it or just having it in the background while, you're cooking or driving or whatever, just to help calm down the brain waves. Getting your brain waves down into the more dreamlike state where you can begin to have a vision for your life again and make the most of things and really indulge your senses, touching things, going for a 20-minute walk, touching the side of a tree, pushing on it, seeing how strong it is, touching the grass, touching a flower petal, touching an animal. Pets are very therapeutic. You might need to get a pet. Doing something like that you might call radical action will help release those self-limiting beliefs and will liberate you tremendously. Go on the path. You can do this. You've got it. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out, and thanks for hanging in there through the previous tumbles on the previous videos. We do this raw. We do this real. We're moving it forward. Have a beautiful day.